Yo, what's good all day, fam? So I'm back, and I know it's super late, but hey, I think it's better for me to still be on and and just still be consistent with this. I know that I know that nobody's probably up right now. It's probably not watching this, but I decided to stay consistent. I wanted to I want to keep up with the plan of being on here every night. I know it's probably not usual to be on here every night because football season is about to end, and I think I know most channels are going to they're probably not going to be on. They're probably going to take the whole month off, the whole month of February off probably. But I decided that no, I want to keep the momentum going of being on here every single night, and we can find football news to talk about. And not my thing is that my channel isn't big enough, my brand isn't big enough for me to take nights off. So I may be late, it may be after hours, it may nobody may not be on here, but hey, I'm more focused on being consistent, and I believe consistency builds value. And with great intent, with the perfect intention, and when you keep on building with the perfect intention and being consistent, that creates value. And to me, that builds the brand, the entire purpose, the entire meaning, everything, the momentum, the direction of where I want this brand to go. And the more nights I show up, the more of a higher direction and elevation this all day brand will go, and you all can come with me and we'll figure this thing out of where it's gonna go. I mean, I do have a vision of what I want it to be, but it could be bigger than what I'm already visualizing it to be. So, but I know it does starts with me, and I know it starts with being consistent. So it's 2:04 a.m. right now, and so I took a nap because I was in class, and but I'm still here. This is all day, all night. So let's get to it. So we talked about Mike McDaniel's already, and I think it was, I think I'm extremely excited for that situation. I watched his press conference earlier today, and that just I couldn't be even more excited about that. So let's see. I think we can actually watch a little bit of his press conference with LA. I thought it was very entertaining and interesting. He's a very interesting, and he hit like his for something. What Mike McDaniel's, he kind of reminds me of Jim Harbaugh a lot. He reminds me of a young hippie kind of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, they to me, I don't know if I'm the only person on earth who thinks this, but they have a lot of similarities to me, in my opinion. Yeah, I think they're like perfect for each other. And I was actually very, very impressed with how much respect he had for Jim Harbaugh. I thought that was really interesting. I like that a lot. I He pretty much explained that the reason why he liked Jim Harbaugh, I mean, the reason why he chose the Chargers was one because of Justin Herbert, and then two, he had a lot of praise to say about Jim Harbaugh. He had a lot of things to say about Jim Harbaugh. So I've really, really admired admired what he said, because I never really heard Mike McDaniel really talk the way he talked in his press conference. When he first starting off his starting off his career with the Los Angeles Chargers. When I always would hear his interviews when he was with the Dolphins, he always was he always would come off very weird. Like he would have a lot of yeah, a lot of that in his sentences, and he would just sometimes he would say stuff that didn't really make any sense, and it almost got to the point where it got annoying almost. But now I see him talking I see him talking for the first time ever as a Los Angeles Chargers offensive coordinator, and he's saying things that I never really thought he would say, and he's praising Herbert, he's praising Harbaugh, and not only was he praising them, but it was almost like he was saying like this job, this offensive coordinator opportunity, this offensive coordinator position is a huge opportunity for him. And he was pretty much saying that he was very fortunate that the Chargers wanted him. So I thought I thought what he said was like it made me even more ecstatic and happy and just impatient for the upcoming season. So this is going to be a very great off season. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be on here every night, and I'm not going to find reasons or excuses why not to be on here every night. Like I said, I'm building this brand. I'm building this YouTube channel. I know there's not a lot of people who watches this, but I know more consistent I am, and the more I'll get better on giving you valuable football news, and the more the value of this channel will grow. So, and then maybe I could think about being on here every night if it's needed or not. But right now, my commitment to this brand is to be on here every night, give you football news, NFL, college news. Those news doesn't stop throughout the year. So, like I said, I know some channels they decide to take a month off or whatever when it's the off season of football, but I'm not. I believe that there's always going to be news somewhere around the world, in college or in the NFL that we could talk about every day. So sometimes I may not be here at night. I'll be here probably during the day or something if I have, depending on when my time permits. But with that being said, I want to see if we can. I'm going to look a little bit on the Mike McDaniel's press conference, and I want to share this with y'all because I find it interesting. Let's see.
Not really an opening statement guy, but I will open with this statement. I'm fired up to be here. Family's fired up to be here and shoot from the hip. Whatever questions you got.
Mike, just to start out, what attracted you about this job?
There was a lot that I found very attractive. I was very fortunate to have some opportunities, but I think it started with Coach Harbaugh. Then to be a part of an organization that has a legacy, talking about Sid and Air Coryell, that's super attractive too. Got a quarterback who I've always admired, and just a lot of young players. Great situation for me and my family to go to the next chapter, which we're very excited about.
You mentioned the quarterback. What has impressed you about Justin Herbert throughout his career so far?
Well, I think you have a competitive player that each and every year is trying to get better at his craft. I think he hasn't he hasn't neared the ceiling to what he's capable of. He can make every throw, but as a competitor, you can tell he enjoys what the National Football League and franchise quarterback. He enjoys all the burden that is the responsibility of touching the ball every play, then to need to be your best when your best is required. That's something that I'm always looking for in players in general. How they perform post halftime, and there's a lot that we can be capable of here. With him leading the charge. So extremely excited for that opportunity.
How do you see you being able to hold it regular season, postseason?
Well, I think it's a real cool opportunity because, I think, the best offenses are cater to the players that they have, the existing skill sets, and evolve to what their talents are. I think we have a lot of young players at the skill positions, particularly got two great tackles coming back. And, I think, with a skill set such as Justin's, you can do a lot of things on the ground and in the air that can really put defenses in bind. So I think there's a lot tools, in place. I think it's important to have a good off season, which we plan to do. I think what you're working with is something that will be unique to its own. I'm excited for to see where the offense goes and how it evolves through the skill sets of these players. What I think the biggest thing is we want to create a system of offense where guys can really feature their skill sets, evolve their game, and be their best in December and January, which is the whole point when you're playing elimination games and you're whether you're playing to get into the playoffs or you're in the playoffs. We're going to have an offense that evolves to the point that our most efficient self and our best self will be then with these young players we have here.
What's this been like for you? Since Miami, going through when you left Miami and you thought about where you'd be next, was this at the top of the list, or how did you get to this point?
I think it was a very interesting process. It was unique to my career in that, there was a lot of opportunities out there. And, I thought it was important to not get ahead of myself and to take each opportunity, fully digest it. And I figured, when I'd come to the place that there would be a certain feeling attached in your gut that you'd know that, hey, I don't want to leave this place and this opportunity. So, it was a hectic week for sure. That first week after I left Miami, and in that process, I think it was a week and a half in that I came here, and I hadn't overthought it at all. I really just kept a clear mind at each opportunity, had, heard all the things that each organization had to say and assessed each and every option. And then got here, with meeting Mr. Spanos and having time with Jim and Joe. It didn't take long for me to have feet on ground to feel, this is kind of what I was looking for. You just want to be a part of a hungry organization with like-minded football people that are doing anything and everything to win. And for me, the opportunity to work with Coach Harbaugh and that was too good to pass up. It felt like I was extremely fortunate to be afforded this opportunity, and it felt something that I could easily get behind in terms of ambition to go attack the next thing. So those things coupled with the spirited attitude of my daughter and my wife made things pretty easy as a girl dad and a husband to have your family in a place where they can get behind too.
Mike, have you spoken to Justin?
Yes, about a week ago. Well, I think it was good for me. You'd have to ask him if it was good for him. I'm pretty sure it went well. He was in high spirits, and just excited about attacking something. You lose in the playoffs in the first round, and it's a lot of work that you feel kind of like you have an empty stomach. So that hunger, I could hear in his voice. He was excited to start a new chapter and to really attack the process of the off season to be our best versions of ourselves come next fall. So it was enthusiastic. I was in a room talking with a really loud inside voice out of passion, and I think he recognized that, and we were both geeked for the future and the possibilities that it brings.
That play that he had against you guys in
Yeah.
Black McConkey, just
Yeah.
what did you think about?
That's what I knew. What I think about it, I think I've been in the National Football League for 19 years. In that process, you are fortunate to share the field with guys that can just, in an 11-on-11 game, they can really take over and put the team on their back. And that was the latest and greatest example of that on the short end of the stick. So I think, that's what's so exciting about the horizon. What we have in store for ourselves moving forward is it's rare that you can come up with football plays that has an answer if, the defense gets paid to and they make the perfect call. I think not relying too heavily on Justin's ability to do above and beyond, I think is critical to maximize those types of opportunities. That'll be one of the first things that we'll try to do is, take a little off his plate so that he is free to do that when, his greatness is required. So I think there's probably a plethora of examples you guys can go on your Rolodex as far as plays that he's made that you assume others can't. In those situations where you're on the sidelines and you're playing against it, it's a lonely feeling when there isn't a play call defensively that can, take this guy's game away. So if you can't beat him, join him, I guess.
You've obviously observed Justin mostly from afar, outside of the conversation you're just speaking of. Big part of this process can be getting to know him, what he likes, what he doesn't like, how he operates. What are you most interested in learning about Justin as you get to know him over this?
Well, I think that's one of my favorite parts of, starting anew is, I try to take, in a similar fashion that I approached, my last new job, where you let the tape take you to your own conclusions. You deep dive, 3, 4, and his case will be about 4 to 5 seasons of watching all of his play and kind of patternizing things that, not that he doesn't necessarily tell me he can confirm verbally, but I like to draw the conclusions from the tape itself. As a student, kind of removed too much from, anything but, just execution. Then you go through that and, it's a reverse engineer problem solving formula that you find ways to best suit some of the things that he does best as you're learning a new offense. It's key to have a quarterback maintain confidence in his craft. You can find that by, making sure that some of the best things that he's had the most success with, for years, I think making sure those are part of the install process, just really problem solving, all sorts of verbiage, all sorts of things. But it's really exciting because, for instance, the concept, the RPO that we ran the most, or really Tua's most run play in Miami, was a play that I'd never run previous. That was kind of part of that process that I think is important to meshing an offense to the skill sets of their players, particularly the best players, which in this case, and what every offensive coach would like is to have, their best player be the quarterback because they touch the ball every play. So it's an exciting time. I think the biggest thing is that you have people with the appropriate intent attacking a problem, hungry at where our football can go, and not satisfied with anything of the past. That's the biggest thing. And so I'm excited to get to work on all of that, starting with this press conference.
Mike, you mentioned Coach Harbaugh a couple of times. What have you admired about him from afar as a coach, and then what the last couple of days been like working with him up close?
I think winning and adaptation, I would say, are the two things that just pop off. You have it's hard to have success in football, particularly the National Football League, or I'm sure when you're leading a gigantic program such as Coach Harbaugh did with Michigan. It feels the same as the National Football League. You have all these problems to solve, and to have success over time, that means there's an adaptability that I think is super important in life in general, but particularly the state of where football is, and how you have to evolve to keep a competitive edge. I think I always admire, being in the profession of coaching. You can see when players are better served with the time spent with a coach when you can tell that you make a difference in their lives, who they are as people. Those things are the why you get into coaching, and there's only a certain amount of people that are actually able to execute that and capture that. So Coach Harbaugh has done that over an extended period of time. Multiple times I've been on the losing side of it, and I've been able to feel what his teams play like in 2011 versus what they play like in 2025, and that consistency and commonality with those teams over that vastly different period of time, I think speaks to who he is and his bottom lines and where his compass is and his direction and everything that he does, where it comes from. So, I think selfishly, I think the end result will be me being a better coach, better father, and a better husband. And I think those things work hand in hand to how you're executing professionally.
Talk about new voices that come into a locker room. What kind of a new voice do you want to be?
The loudest voice. I think you just want to add value. You want to bring stuff out of people that maybe they are aware that they have inside of them. Maybe sometimes they aren't. I like to come to work and impact people, not off what I've done in the past or what I'm going to do in the future. I like to impact that day. So I've always kind of attacked life in that manner. And, I think people are inspired by that. And in team sports, to be a part of somebody, each individual or the collective, they kind of work hand in hand, but to be a part of a journey where they get better and you're a part of that's what my appetite is. And that's what I was very, very confident I could supremely capture here in one bolt way. Is that right? Nice. Nailed it.
You mentioned, Mike, that you wanted to slow down the process of not pursuing head coaching opportunities. Was that difficult not to do? And then also, do you want to be head coach soon as possible, or you're not even thinking about that right now?
No, I think absolutely my end goal of being able to bring championships to an organization as a head coach, that still is in place, but I think it's super important in life to be where your feet are and kind of attack whatever challenge. This was uncharted territory for me, where I had some options to kind of assess and evaluate. And in that process, you kind of learn, it kind of forces you to see where you're at and what's most important to you. And I wanted to be part of, a hungry collective group of individuals to push forward, utilize, what I have to offer, and, have a place get better because, I could contribute to it. Within that, there was jobs that, it wasn't easy. But when I was assessing this opportunity versus, some potential head coaching opportunities, I think it spoke to how what this opportunity really provided me, because it wasn't that difficult once I got to meet the nucleus of the organization and put all the pieces together. So I don't think my long vision has changed, but I very much am firmly where my feet are right now, which is being the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers and being the very best at that. And typically, if you approach things that way, kind of put your blinders on, put your noise canceling headphones on in the world, you end up liking the product that creates. So I'm focused on this. This is a unbelievable opportunity that I'm happy to go seize and work with a bunch of like-minded people to go win some more football games and get really take advantage of all the human talent on the field and off the field that this organization has.
Like-minded a couple times when talking about people in the organization and Jim. In your conversation so far, where is that overlap philosophically, schematically, in terms of football?
Well, he likes to run the ball, and I am, by trade, I spent a good portion of my career, being in charge of the run game and being a run game coordinator. I think you're always playing to your skill sets, and each team that you're on has a different array of them. I think some of our my run game prowess in the past has been finding different solutions for light boxes when you're adept to pass to run the ball. That core foundational belief of football's inside out, and prioritizing the line of scrimmage play, and being able to win games when you have a lead with 9 minutes to go in the game, and you can keep the defense off the field. I think those types of things, that's where the like-minded football 101 core values of football kind of overlap. And then I think Jim appreciates the evolution of the game, and how you can different ways that you can try to attack how people are defending you, and that's always evolving, and that hunger and thirst for that is something that I've always had in my back pocket, pushing me forward.
Learned about yourself.
All right. Yeah, the interview, well, that press conference was like 40 minutes, but I just wanted to share some of that with you all. I mean, what I got pretty much out of that is that Mike McDaniel, one of the key things that he said that reached out to me is that he said that I liked that he said during his press conference in the 40 minutes, and I also have an article I could read off that too. But the two notes I took, he said that he doesn't want to rely not relying too heavily on Justin Herbert. He said that's the number one priority. He doesn't want to rely too much on Herbert doing everything. And you can sometimes get comfortable with that when you have a quarterback like Herbert, who is going without question to go above and beyond. But Mike McDaniel is going to not put Justin Herbert in a situation, but he is going to build as much as he can around Herbert, a prolific offense for Herbert not to do above and beyond things. And that is going to be a recipe for success for Herbert and for the Chargers offense and for the team ultimately. So I really like that he said that. I also like that he said being able to have players reach their highest potential. So he's talking about putting guys in the best situation to reach their highest potential while they're on the field. A lot of coaches are not able to do that. They know they need to do that, but not a lot of coaches do that. The best coaches, they're the best ones at doing that. So I really like that he said that as well. He said things that really, really matter, that really mattered as an offensive coordinator. And then I also like that he also said earlier, I like that he said that Jim Harbaugh didn't come off trying to sell anything to him. I also like that he said Mike McDaniel, he likes the consistency of Jim Harbaugh. He said that was one of the things that inspired him to come over here and coach under Jim Harbaugh. He noticed that consistency when he coached with Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco, up to the point of them coaching against one another, and when the Chargers played against the Dolphins in Miami this past season, or I guess you could say this season that's ending last year. So he noticed the consistency, and he was in all of it, and he liked it. He said so. I think that's another plus. We know that Mike McDaniel likes consistency. So again, him and Jim Harbaugh, they have a lot of similarities in their coaching, and I think this is just all the reason in the world why he can be his successor if he chooses to stay a lot further. And I was not aware that when he said that, speaking of the running game too and consistency, as he said that he was not aware that I was not aware he never did RPOs until he got to Miami coaching Tua. So I thought that was very interesting that he said that, even though he's been a running backs coach, and he's really a master at the running game. But he never did RPOs until he went to Miami, and so that's another wonderful example of him being able to putting players to assist players and putting them to reach their highest potential when coaching them on game day or coaching them in general. So coaching to me is a lot like being an assistant to a player. The player's job is just to only worry about going on the field and playing with the provided information and resources a coach gives him leading up to the game, putting the players in the best situation to prevail, knowing what the opposite team is going to do, who they're going up against is going to do, what the other players are going to do. And so they can have the intelligence of how to play and look out and what to look out for on game day. And that's what coaching is. They are assisting these players. They're like, here's all the information, here's all the resources, here's all the stuff that I looked up, that I grabbed for you, the technology that I used. You do that. This is what you need to worry about. And this is what you need to study and worry about when you're going to play. And that's what a coach is. They're pretty much just an assistant to a player. So just think of coaches being assistant, head coaches. They're just assistants. So I like that. And so just like I said, you find ways to best suit what he does best. I like that Mike McDaniel says that. He said that was his own words. You find ways to best suit what he does best. And he's talking about Justin Herbert and just players in general. So that's proving my point that coaches are assistants to players. The great ones are great assistant to players. But again, how are you putting these players in the best position possible on game day? You're doing your research. You're doing all the grit, all the work, staying up those late hours, watching the film, getting the tape, looking at other resources, grabbing other stuff, and you're providing that to your player, especially to your star players, especially to your quarterback. This is what you got to worry about. This is what you got to do. Study this. So I think that's wonderful. So I like that he said he's where his feet are right now. He's not worried about the future right now, and he knows the future will take care of itself if he takes care of where he's at. So he is going to come out here and he is going to execute for LA. So I love that. I like when he also says assess and evaluate. He said he wants to add value. So these are key things for LA. And I just thought that his mentality, his approach, everything, his professionalism, you can tell that he's obsessed with making Justin Herbert. He even said out of his own mouth that Justin Herbert has not reached his full potential. And he's obsessed with getting Justin Herbert to reach his full potential. I thought that was A+, A+, for me. And you know Justin Herbert is ecstatic for this, because the fact that he's saying that we haven't seen Justin Herbert reach his full potential yet, that to me is mind-boggling, because Justin Herbert, he already looks like, talent-wise, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played, talent-wise. And to me personally, I already think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't believe that, don't think that, don't agree, because he hasn't won a playoff game yet. But I don't think that anybody would disagree with me if he had at least one Lombardi trophy. You know what I'm saying? And Jalen Hurts has one Lombardi trophy. I don't think anybody is going to think that Jalen Hurts is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played. I mean, people don't even think he's top 5, top 10. Some people argue that he's not even top 10, and he has a Lombardi trophy. You see what I'm saying? So we know that Justin Herbert has the skill set, the talent, everything. He's done everything individual wise, but in winning MVP individual wise, he gets a Lombardi. That's going to be things that people are not going to really want to argue about, because they already know he has it. Like he's built in the lab. He has everything for him to be the greatest ever of all time. Tom Brady praises him. All the coaches praises him. The only people who really knocks him are analysts. Like, why do you think the coaches come over to LA to coach Harbaugh, Mike McDaniel? When they first started off saying, the reason why I came to LA is because of the quarterback. That's literally what both of them said. So you gotta think about that. And a whole situation in Miami, the GM wanted Herbert. So, I'm excited. Like I said, I can't wait. And he said that he's where his feet are. He said, Mike McDaniel said his vision is definitely, he wants to be a head coach one day again. Obviously, why would he not? And he also said that he wants to help an organization as a head coach bring a Lombardi trophy to that organization. He wants to be the head coach of doing that. And I think he's very capable of doing it. And because he's learning under Harbaugh, he said that Harbaugh is going to make me a better coach, a better father, a better person. I was surprised that he said something like that. I don't think coaches say that about their head coach. So you know that he looks up to Harbaugh. And I thought that was just beautiful. So I think he said it without saying it, is that maybe he's not opposed to being a successor to Harbaugh if Harbaugh leaves. He doesn't have to, maybe he thinks that if he stays in LA in time when Harbaugh leaves, maybe he's willing to wait for this. When Harbaugh leaves, he can be Harbaugh's successor in Los Angeles. I'm putting the word out there right now. I am putting that rumor out there because I think that's the perfect situation for Mike McDaniel. He can learn as much as he possibly can for Harbaugh. I don't think Harbaugh is going to be with LA for 10 years. I don't think he is. Maybe he will. If Harbaugh does, it's still a win for us. But maybe I don't think Harbaugh is going to. I don't know. I think Harbaugh is like 60. I don't think he wants to coach into his 70s. I don't know. Maybe he did say that he wants to coach till he dies. So maybe Mike McDaniel will be the coach for the Chargers. But if Harbaugh does leave, if that is the situation, that's going to be between him and Harbaugh. He will know. If Harbaugh does leave, I think he's going to stay a lot longer because he knows that he can be his successor. He already learned under him, and boom, then it's already there right for him. So, but hopefully, I believe Justin Herbert is the type of quarterback to do this, but he can learn as much as he possibly can under that offense. That Justin Herbert can just command that offense. It doesn't matter who our offensive coordinator becomes when we lose Mike McDaniel, or if we lose him. So that's something that I challenge. I mean, I would like to see more quarterbacks do because we've seen it. Like when we watch Peyton Manning and all these other, Tom Brady. They eventually became. It didn't matter who was the offensive coordinator. Drew Brees also. It didn't matter who, especially Peyton Manning. I don't know. I mean, he was the field general. He was the offensive coordinator. He was the coach. Like players said that they learned more sitting in the room and having meetings with Peyton Manning than they did ever in their entire career being in NFL prior to them meeting Peyton Manning. And that just shows you the intelligence level, the intelligence level, the IQ, football IQ of quarterbacks like Peyton Manning. I even heard the same thing about Tom Brady. People said that they sit in the room with Tom Brady, they learned more about football, about sitting in a room with Tom Brady than they did ever. And it was playing like 7 years in the league, and then until they got the opportunity of playing with Tom Brady, they're like, whoa, like those guys are coaches. They are head coaches. So I think Justin Herbert can get to that level. I think he has the intelligence. I would like to see something like that with Herbert. And I wonder why it's not most quarterbacks like that nowadays. It's always now. It's like it's about who the offensive coordinator is for these quarterbacks. So, like I said, I wanted to do research on that, and I wanted to look into that. But that's what really makes a quarterback really great. It's like it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. That quarterback is the offensive coordinator. That quarterback is the field general. That quarterback is the one that's calling the plays. That quarterback is the coach. So that's what I would like for Herbert to get to that level. And to be honest with you, I don't think any quarterback in this league right now is on that level. To be honest with you, I mean, we can't really say Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes had Andy Reid all this time. Andy Reid is the one that's calling the shots, and now they got Eric Bieniemy back. So, I think that's something I don't hear a lot of people talk about that, but I took note of that and I noticed that, and I'm just like, Back when I was watching football back in my earlier days, the offensive coordinator didn't mean that much to great quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, even Breeze. It didn't mean that much. So I want to look into that. I want to look deeper into that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know it doesn't matter. I know that that wasn't the case with Peyton Manning. I know that wasn't the case with Manning. Now, Tom Brady did have Josh McDaniels, and Josh McDaniels is a hell of an offensive coordinator. He's a great offensive coordinator. He's a brilliant offensive mind. But I know Tom Brady. I can't remember who said this. It was Tom Brady. If it was Tom or Bill. But Bill Belichick, he taught Tom Brady defense. He said that he wanted Tom Brady to learn defense, and Tom Brady became a master at defense. Tom Brady can be a defensive coordinator if he wants to. That's how great at understanding defense that Tom Brady is, and that's why he became so great, because he understood defenses just as much as he's understood offenses, probably even more. So that's what I'm saying. I think it really goes deep into these guys putting a lot of commitment and effort into going deep into understanding both sides of the ball, not just your side of the ball, not just your position. So that's what really will make you a better player. It really is goes based on your mental capacity and intelligence of how you, if you could wrap your head around how this game is. So then eventually the game gets slower, because when the game gets slower, that means your intelligence, your IQ of the game, your psychological aspect to be able to adapt to the game, any parts of the game is slowing down. It's like I've seen this before. So I think that's so it goes a lot to the player, man. It goes like a lot to how much commitment that player wants to put in, not just training stuff and off the field. Going to the training facility and going to the gym. It's more than just that. It's how much film are you watching? How much stuff are you researching? Are you being your own researcher, your own assistant? How much of that stuff are you studying? All these different, if you're an offensive player, are you studying all these different defensive schemes and defensive coordinators in these teams? The different looks that they're putting up. Are you studying that? Same for a defensive player. Are you studying all these different things that's going on with the offenses? So nothing can be surprising. And whatever your coach tells you, it's a repeat. It's you already know. You know more than what your coach is. I really believe that's what really elevates you and makes you this makes you the best of the best Hall of Famer type of protege type of player. But so that just goes based what I'm saying. And so I also like that Mike McDaniel was talking about finding different solutions to light boxes. He's talking about the running game. And a lot of people don't think or realize Mike McDaniel, he's a master at the running game. That's what he really is his expertise is the running game. If you remember what Achan and I can't remember the other Raheem Mostert. And Raheem Mostert, he played 11 years in the league prior to Miami. And when he got to Miami, he was going off. And so that because Mike McDaniel is a master at the running game, he just does the running game differently. He does it with a very, very different approach. So I love that. And he was pretty much saying that him and Jim Harbaugh are like-minded in the running game, just in a lot of different ways. So it's going to be a fun NFL season. Very fun NFL season. So let's see. Just going to look over this real quick. So Mike McDaniel getting geeked to work with the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert. Yeah, that's what he said. He said they were a hungry organization, and that's what brought him to them. So arriving in LA, fresh start, Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh wanted for his offensive after a winless playoff appearance. Harbaugh did say he wanted a head coach for the offense. So Mike McDaniel is 42. So to remain a head coach in the NFL, he indicated Tuesday at his introductory press conference that a new beginning was a mutual feeling, and working with Harbaugh was a circumstance too good to pass up. See, that's what I'm saying. He said it was too good to pass up. That's what I'm like. Those are the things. Saying those things really caught my ear. I felt like, when a coach admires another coach like that, it's going to take a lot for him to leave, and he pretty much would just be a successor. In my opinion. There was a lot that I found very attractive, McDaniel said, of becoming the Chargers offensive coordinator. I was very fortunate to have some opportunities, but I think it started with Coach Harbaugh, then to be a part of an organization that has a legacy. So he said, talking about Sid Gilman and Eric Coryell, that's super attractive too. You've got a quarterback who I have always admired. He said he always admired Herbert. And just a lot of young players. Great situation for me and my family to go to the next chapter, which we're very excited about. He has plenty to work with Justin Herbert, headlining an offense that has underwhelmed in recent seasons. However, the Chargers quarterback has proven himself capable of leading a powerful offense. And McDaniel said he recognized Herbert's hunger to meet or exceed those expectations. He was high in spirits. This is what McDaniel said. He was high in spirits and just excited about attacking something. McDaniel said of his initial conversation with Herbert. You lose in the playoffs in the first round. It's a lot of work that you feel like kind of like you have an empty stomach. So that hunger, I can hear in his voice. He was excited to start a new chapter and to really tackle the process of the offseason to be our best versions of ourselves come next fall. So I was enthusiastic. I was in a room talking with a really loud inside voice of passion. I think he could recognize that we were both geeked for the future and the possibilities that it brings. Yeah, that's that. So I gotta say about that, man. Say the least. Say the least, man. Exciting. Geeked up. Geeked up. But let's see what else we got. What else I want to talk about? Speaking of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I guess this is perfect to talk about this. It's perfect to just dive right into this. Bill Belichick being snubbed of the Hall of Fame. I thought that was so. The Hall of Fame voters snubbed Bill Belichick in his first year of eligibility. So, according to Hall of Fame voters, Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's asinine. Like, you can't think of the history of football without even mentioning Bill Belichick. You can't think about the history of football. Like, with Bill Belichick had a lot to do with what the NFL is today. And we're not even just talking about when he was coaching the Patriots, when he was coaching the Giants. Bill Belichick is, if he's not the greatest coach of all time, he's definitely arguably the greatest coach of all time. Whoever was the voters of Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame, they don't need to be voting anymore. They need to, I don't know if it's a license or whatever, privilege rights. They need to be stripped of all their rights of Bill Belichick of them not voting for the Hall of Fame. Because this is an indictment to not just the NFL, not just the Hall of Fame. This is an indictment of football. You can't even talk about football without even mentioning Bill Belichick. You can't go an hour talking about football or 30 minutes into football without mentioning Bill Belichick. You just can't. He has invested and done too much for this game. Way too much for him to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. If Bill Belichick is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, then who is? Like, who is up first ballot if Bill Belichick is not first ballot? If you're a player and you're a coach and you're not in the Hall of Fame yet, you're still coaching or still playing, or your eligibility years has not came up, or you're not a first ballot. Maybe you had a decent career, you're still playing. And you see this. You see that Bill Belichick wasn't inducted as a first ballot. You're going to be like, if arguably the greatest coach of all time, who coached the greatest quarterback of all time, who went to 10 Super Bowls, really, I think Bill Belichick actually has 10 Lombardi trophies. He just doesn't have 10 Lombardi trophies as a head coach. So I think he actually has 10 Super Bowl wins. And so you're thinking that just the fact that he went to 10 Super Bowls alone, he should be first ballot. 10 Super Bowls alone as a coach. So you're thinking that. You're like, what in the hell do I got to do? Like, why am I doing this? If Bill Belichick is not in the Hall of Fame. I don't have the answers. Only thing I can say is that he wasn't nice to the media, and he wasn't nice to the media after he retired. He put out a lot of shots towards the NFL. When he retired, when he left the NFL, he did throw out a lot of shots, and that's the only thing I could think of. But who cares? It doesn't matter. I don't care what Bill Belichick said. I really don't. He's better than you, and you want to get in your feelings of voting him not in the Hall of Fame because because you don't like what he said towards you or towards the media. Who cares? I mean, you don't matter. And there's something that needs to be done about voters if they are voting these guys into the Hall of Fame based on them liking them, not based on what they did for the game, based on literally personal opinions of these coaches or players. I think that is a serious indictment to the entire game of football. And that needs to be investigated. Something needs to be done about that because again, it's ruining the integrity of the game. There's no way in hell that anybody, if you say that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, you don't know anything about football at all. It's dumb, it's ridiculous, and it's just downright disrespectful, to be honest with you. That's literally what it is. It's completely disrespectful to Bill Belichick, his family. The amount of commitment. I don't think people know the amount of commitment just being a coach you have to put in. And then just the amount of commitment that you got to be put in as a head coach. And then the amount of commitment that you got to put in being a head coach in the NFL, a head coach in NFL. And then on top of that, plus that times more, the amount of commitment and obsession and sacrifices that you have to put in to be a great head coach. We heard Mike Macdonald. I don't know if I read this article, but we heard Mike Macdonald say a few days ago that he only sees his son 30 minutes a week because he had the amount of preparation that he has to prepare on game day because he has to assist his players, mostly Sam Darnold, the resources, the information, the data of what they need on game day. I don't think people understand the preparation. We just see the result. We just see the outcome. We just see the finished product. US fans, you guys don't know the amount of preparation and obsession that you have to put in for these guys, for these players. And we take it for granted. And for Bill Belichick to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, it kind of pretty much erases all of that commitment, all that sacrifice, all that obsession. We don't know the type of arguments that he probably had with family, with wife. We don't know what was going on in Bill Belichick's personal life, but the fact that he showed up every single day and was so committed to this game, gave his life to this game, he kept it mellow and professional at all times. When you will see his press conferences, no emotion, just answer a question with no remorse, straightforward, just the same person, day in, day out, week in, week out, and that gravitated players, that leashed off to other players. And so Bill Belichick, when you saw the product of him, you saw how players leashed into him. You see how guys like Aqib Talib, how Tom Brady, Rodney Harrison, how a lot of guys, Mike Vrabel, how a lot of guys spoke very highly of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick wasn't every player's coach. Like, not every player really enjoyed playing for Bill Belichick and playing for New England because they were like, it was like almost like being in the military. But that commitment, that preparation, you can't take that away from him. And for him to not be first ballot is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. So yeah, screw those voters. They're nothing. They're pieces of crap. So I don't just look through this article to see if there's anything I want to say on this. 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach Bill Belichick was not voted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility, according to a report for ESPN. Citing for unidentified sources, the ESPN reported Tuesday that Bill Belichick received the necessary 40 votes from the 50-person panel of media members and the Hall of Famers. ESPN said Bill Belichick received a call from the Hall of Fame last Friday with the news. The Pro Football Hall of Fame does not comment on the voting of the selection committee and awaits the unveiling of the class of 2026 NFL honors February 5th in San Francisco. The Hall said in a statement on the info media, the report of Bill Belichick's no was met with significant criticism, including from Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who posted on social media and saying, "Don't even understand how this could be possible." Exactly. I mean, Patrick Mahomes even came out and said this, and he never played under Bill Belichick. But the amount of respect, insane. Don't even understand how this could be possible. Hall of Fame head coach Jimmy Johnson also voiced his displeasure with the news. This is just wrong. Exactly. It's stupid. It's disrespectful. Johnson wrote on the social media website X, number 2 winning all time, more Super Bowls than anyone unimaginable, number of division championship, a lot of small jealous voters. Exactly, a lot of piece of crap voters. A lot of piece of crap voters who are not mature, who are raised wrong, obviously, who are raised wrong by the wrong people. Because how can you? I don't care about what your opinion on Bill Belichick. I honestly don't care. Your opinion doesn't matter. The fact is, the reality is that he is a top 2 greatest coach of all time, hands down, and he's arguably the greatest coach of all time. In my book, he is the greatest coach of all time. In my book, so I mean, some people could say Andy Reid, that's fine, but I'm not going to argue with you about that. You can't say that you're just dumb if you don't think he's top 2 of all time. You're just dumb. You don't, like I said, you don't understand the game. So Belichick was hired by New England in 2000 and led the franchise to 6 Super Bowl wins and 3 other appearances in the title game during an 18-year span from 2001 to 18. Belichick's 333 wins in the regular season and playoffs with New England and Cleveland are the second most to Don Shula's 347. He won AP NFL Coach of the Year 3 times. Belichick also was one of the game's top defensive assistants before taking over in New England, winning 2 earlier Super Bowls as defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. So he did. I don't think he got 10 Super Bowls, but he's won 6 with New England, and he's got 2 with the Giants. So he's got 10 Lombardis, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. So 8 in general. Belichick's career did have, but he didn't go to the Super Bowl 10 times though. Belichick's career did have blemishes. He was implicated in a sign stealing scandal dubbed Spygate in 2007 season, was fined $500,000 after the team was caught filming defensive signals from the New York Jets during the game. Belichick's tenure in New England ended following the 2023 season. He just finished his first year coaching in the college at North Carolina. Belichick was one of 5 finalists among coaches, contributors, and senior players who last appeared in a game in 2000 or earlier. Patriots owner Robert Kraft was a contributor finalist with Robert Craig, Ken Anderson, and L.C. Greenwood, the players. Between 1 and 3 of those finalists will be inducted into the Hall, along with between 3 and 5 modern era players from a group of 15 finalists. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't really have anything else to say about that. Is that if you don't think that Bill Belichick is one of the greatest of all time, you're just dumb. That's just the bottom line. And for those voters to not put him into the Hall of Fame is just downright disrespectful, and it's immature. But that's all I gotta say about that. So one more thing I want to talk about before I close is a little bit of football, the Senior Bowl. So the East and West Shrine Bowl, not Super Bowl, East and West Shrine Bowl. The West team defeated the East team 21-17 last night in the 101st East-West Shrine Bowl on Tuesday night. After a week of practices leading up to the clash at the Star in Frisco, Texas, there were 8 2026 NFL draft prospects that stood out to me. This is the writer saying that stood out to me the most with their play. A year ago, the writer said there he identified Efton Chisholm III, running back Ja'Cory Prosky Merritt, and cornerback Noel Williams among the 2025 Shrine Bowl's top performers. Prosky Merritt became a well-known name among Commanders fans, running for 805 yards and 8 scores as a rookie. So so I guess the Commanders got a lot to look for in the future for that running back right there, Prosky Merritt. And Williams started 5 games for the Chiefs, breaking up 7 passes. And Chisholm has been a contributor for the Senior Bowl bound Patriots. So, I'm going to look out for him. Look out for him, Chisholm. Look out for him in the Super Bowl. So he's a rookie, Efton Chisholm III. Look out for him. And then, without further ado, so this list is about 8 players, along with 20 more prospects worthy of an honorable mention added to their resume on Tuesday, with the evaluation process set to play out over the next 3 months until the draft begins on April 23rd in Pittsburgh. So I guess you can look out for these players. Maybe you can have a hope if these guys are really the real deal. I didn't watch college football this past year, so I can't really tell you. But according to the writer of this article, these guys really shined out in the Eastern West Shrine Bowl. So Shad Banks was number 1 on the list, linebacker at UTSA. He showed scouts he can excel on special teams, making stops on the first 2 kickoffs. He was all over the field on defense as well, swallowing running backs on multiple occasions. He avoided a block to make a stop at the line in the first half and twice dipped under oncoming linemen to fill the hole later in the game. Banks also made plays against the pass, knocking down a throw in the end zone late in the first half and upending a receiver in zone coverage over the middle. Dean Connors, running back out of Houston. He showed quickness, power during the first half, spun off contact in the backfield for an excellent run, avoided a tackler in the hole on another inside run, and displayed a nice burst up the gut on a 6-yard gain. The Rice transfer avoided open field tackles on 2 receptions as well and scored the team's first touchdown with a great cutback. Garrett DiGario, offensive tackle off UCLA. So they said he played well at right tackle. He stopping edge rushers and in their tracks as a path protector. His average length 32, 3/4 inch arms, 3/4 arms will likely push him inside the NFL. So teams must have been thrilled to see his strength as a run blocker during the contest. The big man's movement skills, reaching defenders after second level and pulling across the formation should endear him to offensive line coaches throughout the league. Mark Gronowski. I found this very interesting that this paragraph said that he is the best quarterback. So it said the game's best quarterback looked the part on Tuesday. Maybe they were saying the Eastern West Shrines game best quarterback, not the best quarterback in the entire draft process. But they say he earned offensive MVP awards. He showed strength in the pocket early on, shaking off defenders to run for a first down. The former Iowa and South Dakota State quarterback threw the ball well in a quarter plus of action, connecting while moving to his left and right, as well as timing up a deep dig route. He even threw the key block on his team's first touchdown, sealing the edge for Dean Connors. So that's pretty cool. Mason Rieger, edge out of Wisconsin. He has been beating tackles regularly and on his way to winning the game's best defensive MVP award. That's dope. He had 3 sacks on the night, including a strip sack off the edge in the third quarter. He was unblocked on his third sack, but the closing speed was evident. Quarterbacks felt his presence, even if he wasn't directly in their face. Rieger consistently took on blockers in the run game too, doing his job so others could clean up the play. Eric Rivers, wide receiver, kick return on Georgia Tech. He wasn't the biggest receiver in the Shrine Bowl, but he was the most reliable. Quarterbacks found him on first downs, over the middle, on the sideline. So that's good. He's a very tough receiver. If they're finding him on first downs and going down the middle and on the sideline, that is evidence of strong catches and tough catches, might probably even be a contesting catch. It says he has strong hands and quickness. At the top of the route, he creates separation. He turned quickly after the catch to get upfield on the game-winning drive. He also showed a little burst as a kick returner, showing the potential to handle those duties at the next level. So he's fast. So Trey Smack, kicker, and he said he's pretty good. Wesley Williams, edge out of Duke, run well. Prove he can also play the run well during the Shrine Bowl. So he's not only a pass rusher, he can also play the run good too. So that's a plus. He beats his man with quickness to stop one early play behind the line. He also exploded into the backfield in the second quarter run. So he definitely is a run stopper. I think that's always plus when I see pass rushers as good run stoppers too, because some guys are just good pass rushers, but they can't stop the run. They can't play the run. So he thwarted a screen pass on the final play of the first quarter with his hustle to the quarterback. He missed a sack early, but earned multiple pressures from his familiar edge position in his side on a 3rd and long. He was able to get home with the strip sack in the end zone that former Duke teammate Aaron Hall fell on for a score. So the honorable mentions for the other guys who were top ranked in this East West Shrine Bowl: Landon Barton, linebacker out of Utah; Jalen Daniels, quarterback out of Kansas; C.J. Donaldson, running back out of Ohio State; Jaden Duggar, linebacker out of Louisiana; Joe Fagnano, quarterback out of Connecticut; Aaron Hall, interior defensive lineman out of Duke; TJ Harden, running back out of SMU; Eli Hendrick, running back out of Navy; Michael Heltman, edge out of Central Michigan; Damani Jackson, cornerback out of Alabama; Delton Johnson, safety out of, I think, was it Arizona? Oh, snap, I missed, but yeah. Miller Moss, quarterback out of Louisville. Fabici Nuwawu, I guess that you can say it. It's an interior offensive lineman out of Oklahoma. Dom Richardson, running back out of Tulsa. Carson Sharar, linebacker out of Iowa. Boar Sharp, tight end out of LSU. James Thompson Jr., defensive lineman out of Illinois. And Chip Trayanam, running back out of Toledo. Caden Wetjen, wide receiver returner out of Iowa. And CJ Williams, wide receiver out of Stanford. So just guys to keep just guys put on your radar, just look into. So this was by Chad Reuter. He's a draft analyst. So let's see. The draft is right around the corner. So I mean, some of these guys' names get called. I don't know what their draft stock is going to look. Like I said, I don't have a strong opinion on these guys. I didn't watch college football last year, but it's good to go over this stuff, and that's kind of the things that I'm going to be going over throughout every night. Like, so just because NFL season ends, just because college football season ends, doesn't mean that this channel is, because there could be a lot of research done, and this channel could be like research, so talking about guys all year. I mean, going through the spring into the summer, and we can look out for them on college game day. See if they really, I can give you my opinion on them when we're talking about them. We're doing our research on them in the off season, seeing how they're training, seeing what they're doing. There's some reports just coming out, writers talking about them, things to look out for. And then we look out for them plus more on college game day. And then, leading up to the draft, you're like, oh, this guy is really good. We know about him. So, and then especially when we go to NFL, we're like, I watched this guy in college. It creates your intelligence more of the game. And that's what I want to do too. This channel is for me it's my portfolio. And it's also my study ground for me to increase my intelligence more than what I already have on top of the game. Eventually, I will be able to invest in more stuff. I can be able to invest in film. I can actually watch film on this channel. There's a lot of things that I want to do eventually when I gain more resources and gain more credibility that I want to put on this channel. Do draft boards, go over plays, stuff like that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. But that's all I got right now. And I thank you all so much for watching. You can like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you want more, tune in tonight. Tune in later on. I'm going to be on here and we're going to talk more football, more ball. All right, deuces. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.